If I go to the create position business process here, you will see there is a tab called notifications. You will see all the you will see all the notifications basically configured in this area. Now there are two sections. One is system notifications, which are the standard notifications, and then you can create custom notifications. Let us first talk about the standard notifications. Okay, let me take a bigger business process. Let's take hire, for example. Okay, if I go to notifications here, you see in the hire business process, you have so many steps here. Now, in the notification section, you can maintain system notifications for most of the steps that are configured here. Now, I am sure that there are only four notifications configured. However, you can allow or deny system notifications. So these are the notifications that are automatically triggered at the time the step executes in Workday. For instance, let's say here in the notification, it says at the time of approval, there is a notification that goes to the work council. And there is nothing mentioned in the notifications here. Maybe this is not a great example. Let me go to the default definition of hire. Should have more notifications. Here you go. See, so if you look at this, for all the to do and action steps, we have the notifications that is being sent to the HR partner. For example, if I go to this particular screen here, you'll see every time we create a position, I get a notification that says create position business architect and the details of the position, like this. A very simple notification. So whenever you want, whenever a hire is created, or whenever you take an action on a business using a business process, if there are standard notifications configured at the tenant level on the business process, so these standard notifications will be triggered. So whenever it enters this particular step, it will trigger a simple notification to the HR partner with this detail. This will be the heading of the notification saying that, hey, for local employee documentation, this is the we have completed this step. We have completed this step. That way we can trigger. However, if you want to create custom notifications, so when we complete, let's say when we complete to creating a position, I want to send out a custom notifications to the HR partner stating the notification the position has been created in Workday as of this particular, and the effective date of the position is this, or we can say the availability date is this, and the earliest hire date is this. Let's say you want to send that kind of a notification. How can you configure that customized notifications in Workday? So go to the related actions here, go to business process, add notification. Now this is where you will configure the notifications in Workday. So first and foremost, when do you want the trigger to happen? Do you want to trigger it on status? For example, if I want to trigger the notification when the business process is completed, like successfully completed, or do you want to trigger this notification when the business process is cancelled or corrected or rescinded? Okay. So based on when do you want this particular, if you want to trigger it on a specific status or the business process status, you can use this option. You have the process, you have another option called on entry. So basically, do you want the disposition to trigger on entry? So we have about 6 steps or 5 steps on the business process. So do you want to trigger it on entry into one of these steps? So as soon as it enters the review position request, let's say you want to trigger a notification. Do you want to do that? Or when you exit a particular step, so here it will enter the review position. Once the step is completed, it will exit and move to step C. Do you want to trigger a notification when the step exits instead of entry. Okay, you can trigger it, or on ad hoc approve. So ad hoc approve is basically whenever there is an approval on the notification. You can also delay the notifications here. So similar to the delays that we added on the business process step, we can also delay the notifications here. So from the trigger moment, if you want to delay it by a specific number of days, you can delay it, or you can also create something called as a calculated field. We will discuss more about calculated field when we discuss reporting, but we can also delay the notification. Conditions and rules. For now, I'm just going to select trigger on status complete. Conditions and rules. If you want to only send the notification if a particular number of conditions configured on the business process is true or not. So you can also add certain conditions. So Workday will first check if the condition is true. If it is true, it will check what is the trigger. And based on the trigger, who should be receiving the notification. So the recipient, I will say HR partner. Okay. I want the HR partner to receive the notification. And what should be the message content? So this is the message content. I'll just say attention, position is created. Here I can add the body of the notification. So I can say, I can call it this way: hi space. Here I can say name. The requested position Okay, suppose this is a notification that I want to send to the HR partner. So when you want to send it on trigger on status of completion, I want to send a notification call. Come on. Yeah. I want to send a notification. Hi, first name of the HR partner. The requested position has been created in Workday. Please schedule calibration meeting with the primary recruiter for next steps. Thanks, administrative office. Click OK. So now you have created a custom notification. If I go to the business process here, you will see the notification configured over here. So it's just disabled status is no, meaning it is an active notification. Recipient, when it should trigger, and what is the subject and body of the notification. So now let us go and configure. Let me go to the business process. Let me go to the supervisory org, global modern services. I'll just cancel out this one. Let me go to the staffing and create position. Let us call this as availability date. List added, no position restrictions. Submit. It's going to delay it now. So let me first remove that delay. Let me cancel this one because I have to first remove the delay. So here you will maintain step delay. And what I'll do is I'll just remove that delay from here. Click OK. Now let me again reinitiate the position. Okay, it's going to Alex. So let me proxy as Alex. So review position. Now when I approve this transaction, what would happen is it will send me a custom notification once I complete the business process. I'm going to complete this task. There's another task from Steve Morgan. So let me just proxy as Steve Morgan, approve it. So proxied in as Steve Morgan, approving the position, approved. Now there is still in progress. So we have one more step. It is waiting for this integration to trigger. So let me just wait, see if the integration triggers. I'm going to first stop proxy. So now you can see the position is successfully created. If I proxy in as Alex Garcia, let us see if Alex had received a notification. So she is an HR partner. So if I look at, so you see there is one notification which she has received. If I click on this notification, you would see that the notification that we created. Now the name is not available. So the field that I used to configure the name was incorrect. Hence it says not available. We have to correct it. But you get the general idea. This is how the notifications can be created, like custom notifications. So when the position was created, it automatically triggered this notification email to the HR partner. Any questions here on the custom notification part? I can also create notifications when the position is cancelled or the position request is rescinded as well. So let me show you that as well. So here, add notification. I will say if the process is cancel or rescinded or cancel, I also want to send a notification to the HR partner. And I also want a notification for myself. So whomsoever has initiated the business process. So initiator, both should get a notification saying that I just add a simple notification. Say hi. I just created a random notification like this. Okay. So now if I go back to the supervisory org, global modern services, here I'll say this business process, This is a business process we use to create it, right? I'll just go to the overall status here and I'll rescind the transaction. I'll say it's not required. Now, if I proxy in as Alex Garcia, so you see there is another notification. It says, wait, whom did we send that notification to? Did I add HR partner? Oh, I did not add a recipient at all. No, I don't think I added any recipient. Maybe create position. Let us review it. So this is a business process. Let us look at the notifications here. I just added HR partner. However, you see, can you tell me the reason the notification did not trigger? This is a business process. Okay. When I created the position, this was a snapshot. The snapshot was what? 3rd of April. 7:15 a.m. maybe. Now, when I created this position, were there notifications already configured on the business process? There were no notifications configured, right? I did not configure the notifications at that time. When you created the position, whatever was the snapshot of that BP, that will be used. So in this BP, were there any notifications for cancelled or rescinded? There were no notifications configured. If I configure it now, let's say if I go back and this time I'll just, if I create a if I create a position now, okay, now I'm just going to complete all the actions. So review steps. I'm just going to blitz through the entire process. Just completing all the steps here. So I just created another position. I'll show you a difference. If I go back to the supervisory org here, if I look at the business process used for creating this position, this we created maybe 2-3 days ago. If I look at the business process for this, so how do you check? Go to business process, view definition. And if I check the business process for the position that we just created, so this was the business process, view definition. If you compare both of the definitions, so this was the definition for the earlier one, and this is the definition we used. Look at the effective date, 4/2/2024, 4/1/2024. You will see the notifications. There are no notifications on this one. So if you cancel, if you create, no notification, because we did not create. This is a snapshot used by the first position, and this is a snapshot. This is a snapshot that is used by the one that we just created. Now, if I go back and cancel or rescind it, if I just say rescind this, and if I proxy in as Alex Garcia, okay, so this time she should have received the notification. You can see the position is now cancelled, rescinded in Workday. Please schedule a calibration meeting, the one that we configured. Okay, so this way, this is how Workday works. This is how the custom notifications work. You can configure custom notification on trigger of status, or you can do it on entry of a specific step. Okay, you can also say that whenever it enters this particular step, when it goes to an approval step, a review and approval step, you want the person like the HR partner to know that, hey, there is a step waiting for you to complete. Go ahead and complete it, because not every time people will be logged into Workday, and these notifications that you see on this particular bell icon here, these notifications will also be sent to the Outlook email. So whatever email is maintained for the employee over here. So if you look here, there is an email address, right? Agarsia, whatever it is. So generally this will be the company email. So if you're working for a company, it will be your name at the rate thecompany.com, with which you will obviously have an email account as well that is configured with Outlook or whatever email system that your company uses. So you will also get an email that says that, hey, this is the email. So that's the reason we configured the subject and the body. So you will get an email with the subject saying that, position request cancelled, and this will be the body of the email. So you will get this email in your inbox, so that you can, and then you will get a link to log into Workday directly, and then you can check it out. Okay, so you can take whatever action that you want to take. You can take that in Workday. So that's about the custom and standard notifications in Workday. Any questions here? Now let us see what is help text. Suppose you would like to provide certain instructions at the time the position is being created. So whomsoever who is creating the position, I would like to provide some kind of an instruction. Then you can also configure help text in Workday, and this is how you can configure. So I want to provide help text at the time somebody is creating a position. So I can go to the related action. So go to the related action. For every step, you can create a help text. Just go to the related actions, business process, you'll see maintain self help step help text, and this is where you can configure it. You can create conditional help text. So only if a specific condition is met, then you want the help text to trigger or to be displayed, or I can just create a help text randomly like this. So I'm going to say that, this is a sample instruction. I can also color it like this, like red, or and I can also bold it like a heading 1, and I can add instructions like this. I just added some instructions here. Let us see these instructions in action. So let me go to the business process, create position for the one that we added was on the standard business process. Let's see if it works now. So the business global modern services. I'll just go ahead and start creating another position here. You see, I'm seeing the instructions that I added here. So this is how the help text will show up. Okay. So if you want to provide a specific type of help text or specific set of instructions to the person who will be initiating the position, we can also add links here. So if you want to add a link to a SharePoint where there are more details about what process you have to follow, whatever, etc., 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 you can add all that as a part of the help text, and then you can put it on the business process. So on any of the steps of the business process, you can have this help text configured. All right. So that is about the custom help text. Any questions on the business process? We discussed a lot of topics in the last few days. So do you have any kind of questions in any of these topics? So we'll be moving to security. You have to give me a more accurate, elaborate what do you mean by automation? The automation in Workday. If you are asking about mass loading people, like let's say you want to do 100 hires, you don't want to do them manually, you can do a mass load using an Excel file. This is called, you can do an EIB load. We call it in Workday EIB load. EIB meaning enterprise enterprise interface. What is B? I forgot what is B. I'll tell you what is the full form of EIB tomorrow. It's called enterprise integration something. I'll tell you what is the full form of EIB tomorrow. I kind of forgot. Hey, 1 second. Let me just check it up. Just look it up quickly. So we usually use the term EIB. No one spells it out usually, but then EIB full form is yeah, of course. Enterprise interface builder. Okay, so EIB is called as an enterprise interface builder. So basically, now this EIB is kind of part of integrations. So when I started these sessions, I mentioned about the integrations. You have two types of integrations. You have inbound, you have outbound. Suppose this is a Workday system. You have data that goes into Workday. You have data that comes out of Workday. Okay, two types of data. The data that goes into Workday, it is called as inbound. The data that goes out of Workday is called as outbound. So inbound EIBs or inbound integrations. Outbound EIBs or outbound integrations. For this kind of a scenario, you will be using an inbound integration. And I will be discussing this specific scenario when I will be talking about this particular topic. So I will talk about EIBs, and at that time I will discuss how we can use it. For now, if I go to the business process, you can create a file like this. So I can go to the related actions. You have to create an EIB file, and this is how you do it. Create EIB. Let's say you want to do it for hire. I'll just call it as hire inbound. I'll just call it mass load hire. Then here you will choose the web service. So this is where you'll say, what is a web service operation? I want to use hire. So you will use hire employee web service. Next. Okay. template transfer. Okay, this is all good. Next, and submit. Now it will create a process, an inbound process for hiring the worker. So this is the integration system, and then you'll have to create a template like this. You'll generate a system template, and then you'll use that for hiring the worker. So it will first create a template. So you see it has created a template now, and you can see this is how the hire template will look like. You can enter all the details. So every single detail that we discussed, like the higher details, and then there are other, these are all the sub processes. So on a higher business process, we have a lot of other sub processes, right? Like edit government IDs, edit passport. All these details you will be entering for the employee. Similarly, even for create position, if you want to create multiple positions in mass, let's say you want to create 100 positions, you can create it this way. Say mass load positions. I'll use create position web service. So there is create position web service. I'll just use this. So it has now create position AIB. So this is where you can add all the position details, and then you can create the positions. So what I'll do is first, but again, if you're going to mass create something, for example, if I'm going to use, let's say BP create position, right? Now, one of the thing is, if you're going to do a mass load of uh, positions, you don't want the approval steps to trigger for all 100. So in right now, if I create, if I load a file with all the details, it will initiate, it will go and sit in this particular step asking for an approval. So what I'll do is I'll create a rule-based definition. I know that the definition for acquisition here, this only has one step. I'll just remove these two steps here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll just edit this business process. I'll remove these two steps. I'll go to the rule-based definition. Now, instead of using this particular rule, where I will say this rule, right now that definition is mapped to the reason code. It says if the staffing event reason category is acquisition, then it has to create it. So what I'll do instead of that, I will use another condition which is probably in this tenant already. It's called is external load. Oh, I have to create it. So let me create a quick condition rule. I'll call it external. You see there is this condition external load. Mass load positions. So if I go to the related actions here, you see indicates that the event was submitted via a web service. So that's what we are going to do, is equal to, yes. So if it's a mass load, I want this particular business process to trigger. So here I will say, let's suppose first in the processing instructions, I'll say I want this to run now with automatic processing. And all the other steps, all these are all sub processes. I don't want them to trigger. I want to skip them. So I will just say skip these. I just only want the initiation step. And on the create position, this is what I can do. So let's say I want to create 5 positions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a supervisory org ID. So what is a supervisory org ID? Let me go to the supervisory org. Global modern services. No. Just go to the supervisory org here. This is the organization ID, right? So I'll just use this organization ID. Yep, this is the organization ID, yeah. So I'll just use that organization reference ID here. So in all the same organizations, I want to create this particular position. So what is the position title? I'll say one is Workday Senior Consultant, Workday Business Analyst, Workday Engagement Manager. Okay, I've just created 5 business titles. Let us see what else we have to give. You can see what is required and what is optional. So you can see that some of these details are required, like I'm not going to give any of these details. I need to provide availability date though. So where is that date fields? Let me search for availability date. So you see here, this is where you will provide the availability date and the earliest hire date. So I'm just going to do 1. Skill qualification availability date, I'll say 2024, month is 04 and 02. I'll use the same availability date here, and everything else I'm just going to leave it as it is. Let us try to load this file. So once you have created the file, this is how you will be able to access the inbound integration. So just observe this INT-SYS. So basically you're saying integration system. This is the same type of abbreviation you use for business process. Whenever I search for a business process, I say BP : create position, right? Similarly, if you are going to search for integration, you'll say INT-SYS mass load position. So you can see mass load positions are available here. You can go to the related actions. Here, integration, launch, schedule. Click on this. Run now. You see integration attachment. This is where you will provide the file. So you'll go to the integration attachment, and then you will click on the select files, and then you will load the file. So you can, it's basically like how you attach files on anywhere in the, how you will attach files to to an online site. Just update the file, you'll attach it, and then you'll click OK. And you see here, you can first validate load, meaning it will not do a live load. It will probably do like a validation load where it will test it. So this is like a test. Before you even do a live transaction, if you want to test it, you can do a validation load. So it's always recommended that you first do a test load before you do the actual loads. You can click on the test and then you can refresh. So you can see the status of the load. If there is any errors, it will show that there are errors on this. So let us see if we have any errors on the file that we used. So it is now in completed status. If I scroll down, you can see there 5 records were provided, 5 records were processed, and you can see this is only validation only mode, meaning it has not actually created yet. You are yet to create these positions. So right now I just ran this integration in a validation mode. Now you can do a live load. So go to related actions, integration event, relaunch integration event. This time I will remove this validation load from here and let it complete. So while it is doing this, I'll just go to the supervisory org where I have created these positions. So global modern services. This is where we are creating these positions. So let this process complete now. Okay. Now you see the position is now created. If I go here, staffing, you will see there are positions, 5 positions. So this way you can mass load 10 positions, 100 positions, 1000 positions. We can do a mass load of positions. Is it clear? Now this is where you can use studio integrations. So studio is again part of integrations module, but let's say the client wants to further automate this. So they don't want to initiate the positions manually. They would want the system to pick the file from a SFTP and then automatically load it. Okay, so you can create a studio integration where, let's say, this is a box. Have you used box or maybe a drive? You know what is a box?
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
yeah, or for others, let's take Google Drive, G Drive, um, or any kind of a any kind of a storage. Okay, this is a cloud storage. You can create a studio integration. What this studio, and now I'm just taking, let us not think in terms of just create positions. Okay, you can create anything in Workday using EIB. I mean, anything you can create in mass using EIB. Let us suppose hiring of the employees and terminations or any actions you want to do it via EIB. What you can do is the files, let's say the file is automatically created and stored in some of these storages. The studio integration can go and pick it up from the box, automatically initiate an EIB integration. It will complete process integrations, and then it will send the notification emails to the stakeholders saying that today this integration was run and these many hires were created or these many hires were terminated. If there was any error during the process, it can also send that 3 were processed, there were 2 people for whom it errored out and this was the error message. You can check them manually. So it can be robust as you want. It depends upon what the clients want to use. Some clients depending upon the type of client, if it's a very big client, they might be using EIBs for hiring. If it's a small client, they don't mind. The very first time you are implementing the system, you will definitely use EIBs to create positions and hires because you will not be doing it all for the entire population manually. So you'll be using an EIB for that. We'll discuss a bit more about EIBs in the very end, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview of how EIBs are used in Workday. Okay. So security in Workday is one of the most important modules. Security will secure access to different information, different tasks. So everything that you see on the Workday tenant, it will depend upon the security privileges that you have. So if I'm going into this Workday tenant, and if I'm looking at every single if I'm able to open this subordinate, if I'm able to see the values in the related actions, if I'm seeing all these values, it is because of the security access in Workday. So let us understand the security architecture now. In Workday, everything, all the details, like every single config, every single object, every single instance, everything is configured or set up as objects in Workday. Objects. So if you have, let's say, worker object. Worker is an object. Supervisory org or organization is an object. Position is an object. Like this, everything in Workday is an object. So in worker, then you have a lot of related instances like this. So this will be worker 1, worker 2, worker 3, worker 4. Organizations, you will have multiple organizations like org 1, org 2, org 3, org 4. Similarly, for positions, you have multiple positions. Now this worker, well, I'll just put position as well like this. This worker might be related to this position. This position will be in this particular organization. This worker, when hired into this position, will automatically be related to this organization. So even though you have multiple object 1, object 2, object 3, object 4, and so this is an object 1. Let's say this is object 2. Let's say this is object 3. What you see here, these details, these are called instances of an object. Okay, so worker is a business object and workers are instances of the worker business object. Similarly, organization is a business object. All these organizations like Global Modern Services, IT, we created Amazon, all these are called instances of the object type organization. Similarly for position, similarly every single thing in Workday is objects and instances. And again, these objects and instances, these how would you access these instances? You will access this via different fields, data fields that are available. Okay, you will access these using different data fields. And if you want to see what all details were entered in these data fields, you can run reports, or you can also run different tasks and reports to view the data. And you can also modify the data if you have the access. All right, so you have data fields, you have reports. So you have tasks and reports, you have fields. So I'm just not going to call it data fields. Instead, I'm just going to say fields, reports, and tasks. Okay, in fields, what you can do, you will see the data that is entered in these objects. So for this object, these are the instances. So and then you, for each of these instances, then it will have its own related data. So this is how the database in the backend works. You don't have to worry about this database, but you just need to understand the architecture here. Now, whatever data, this fields and reports and tasks that you have, all, if you are able to access a field in Workday, if you are able to access a report in Workday, if you are able to view something, or if you are able to view or modify something, it is all secured by a security access. Now, where is this security access configured? There is something called as domains in Workday. So it called it as domains. So in domains, we will have these fields and reports that is secured within the domain. So let us take HCM for example. HCM is a functional area. Let's take HCM as a module. In HCM, there are multiple domains. So we have domain 1, domain 2, domain 3. Each of these domain will secure a list of fields and reports. Now, if you have access to this particular domain, only then you will be able to access these fields, these reports, and these tasks. If you just have view access, then you will only be able to view the field. You will not be able to modify it. If you have both view and modify access, you'll be able to view as well as modify. Now, slowly it will start making sense. Now you understood until here, like HCM domains and all. Now let us see, like I said, a client who is implementing Workday, they can choose to implement which modules they want, right? So I just want, let's say, HCM and compensation, suppose. Some clients might also need absence. Some clients might say absence, recruitment. Just taking a few examples here. So let's suppose these are the only modules that are used by the client, okay, that are paid for the client. How are you going to restrict access to other modules which the client has not paid for? You need a way to restrict access. You need a way to provide access. Okay, so in Workday, all these different modules that you see here, this is divided into something called as functional areas. It's called as functional areas. So you have functional area on the top. Inside functional areas, you have, let's say, things like HCM, comp, all the modules, each module is a functional area in Workday. Now let us only take HCM functional area for example. Inside the HCM functional area, you will see there are a lot of domains. Each domain will secure a number of actions. First, for now, just understand this. In HCM, you will have domains. So the HCM, what is this? This is functional area. Inside functional area, you will have domains. Inside domains, there can be subdomains depending upon how big that domain is. If the domain is too big, then they will create subdomains. This might not be the case every time. Some of the domains will not have subdomains. Some domains will have subdomains. The reason they use subdomains is for easier classification. If they want to group a number of, if the domain is too big, if they want to group it further, they might use subdomains. Within the subdomains, you will have domain security policies. And here in the domain security policy, you will mention which security group will have view access and which security group will have modify access. Understood till now the classification? Functional area, domain, subdomain, and then domain security policies. Okay, now let us go into Workday. Now, depending upon which functional area is enabled, depending upon that, you'll be able to use. For example, if you have only enabled HCM and comp functional areas, if absence is a no, recruitment is a no, you will not be able to access anything here because these are all turned off. If you turn it on, if you say absence is equal to yes, you will be able to use it. Additionally, Workday is also going to charge you for this. So you cannot just turn on a domain. You will get charged if you just simply go and turn it on. So only certain people will have access in Workday to do these actions, or it's not authorized for you to change the functional areas in the production unless you are authorized to do that. Okay, now let us go into the tenant. Okay, functional area. You see this report, functional areas. So you can see that these are the different functional areas in Workday. Okay. You can also see in the HCM. Oh, okay. There is one more classification which is called as Workday. It's called as a solution, Workday solution. So you can see HCM Workday solution. Within the HCM, you have multiple functional areas like this. So the way the way usually people say HCM comp, you know, Workday does not classify it as HCM comp. It uses further classification like this. So if I just search for HCM over here, if I say HCM, you are seeing that there are multiple HCM. There is HCM function, the academic facility, advanced compensation, benchmarking, benefits. They all come under the same umbrella of human capital management, because Workday usually says we are an HR and finance system. HR and finance. So all the HCM modules like all benefits, payroll, everything will come under this one umbrella of HCM. Now it is up to you which one of these functional areas you want to enable. So this is a Workday solution. There is a Workday solution. Under Workday solution, you will have functional areas. Now let us only concentrate on some of the functional areas. So if I say core, let me see if I find core HCM A, B, C. Let me take any one a random one, for example here, jobs and positions. You see, this is a functional area, jobs and positions. Inside this, and you can see that this functional area is enabled. So you can define job families, job family groups, classifications, etc., etc., etc. And here are the domains that include the jobs and positions. So I'll just open one of the domains called job profile. Set up jobs and positions. I'll use this particular domain. So this functional area has these domains, and within this particular domain, you see there are again subdomains over here. And this entire domain secure, these are the data sources that it secures. These are the instance sets that it secures. These are the report fields. There are these many report fields. Each of these report field will have some data. These are the reports and tasks that this particular domain secures, meaning uh, these are the report fields and the tasks which this domain has. Now depending upon the security policies that is defined, you can provide access, or just provide view access, or not provide any access, or you can provide both view as well as modify access. Now how can I check it? If you click on this domain security policy here, if I click on this particular magnifying glass, you can see who is allowed what action. So you can see the permissions. These are the securable actions. So there is a long list of actions. So you can see if it's a task or a work set of or a report. So delete management level, it's a task in Workday. What kind of permission level is required for you to execute this action? You need a modify access. Now here you can say who has view access, who has modify access. So an HR auditor, if they try to execute this action, delete management level, they will not be able to see this task. The reason being, it requires a permission of modify. HR auditor is only given view access. So only those securable actions that has a view permission, only these actions. So these actions can be done by the HR auditor. HR partner might not have access to any of these actions because we have not provided access to the HR partner. So depending upon
who is provided access over here, they will be able to take, they will be able to execute that transaction or not execute it. So each domain will have a number of secureable actions. Now, this is another thing in Workday. You cannot provide, if you provide access, if you provide, let's say you want to provide access to any one of this. So let's say if I go to modify, I just want to provide the HR auditor edit access to create management level hierarchy. You cannot give just access to one small action type here. If you are providing modify access, you'll be giving access to all 82 things. So that's another thing in Word. You cannot give field level access, or you cannot give task level access. You'll be giving domain level access. So if you are editing it, you cannot just provide access to one action, and that is a limitation, or that is how Workday's security architecture works. So someone who is giving an adding, whenever you are adding policies here, you have to be very careful what kind of task and reports you will be giving access to. So that's why security is always handled by someone who really understands security. So security consultants are very rare. Um, Most of the only there will be only be very few security consultants, and they will be usually taking care of the entire security of the organization. It's a good module, um, but then you know, like I say, if you are a security consultant, and if you don't have any work, that means you are doing your job well. Because if you have more work, that means the security is not working and things are breaking off. If the security is working perfectly, that means everything is set and everything is working correctly. Those who should not see an action or transaction, they won't be able to do it. Those who are able to see, those who should be able to see, they should be able to see that action. And this is how you can edit the domain security policies. Go to the domain security policy, edit permissions, and let's say I want to give this access to the HR partner. This is how we'll add it. So you'll say HR partner here, and you can say modify. If I select modify, I'll automatically get view access, or I can only give view access. Okay. Now, fortunately for this particular domain, you also have subdomains. So you see there are child policies. So this will again further define it. I mean, further decrease securable action. Like this particular subdomain setup job has only 46 securable actions. So you can maybe, I mean, still give only a limited access while not giving access to the entire subdomain. So this way you can configure security in Workday. We will discuss security in detail tomorrow. So tomorrow we will discuss the overall security. Then there are other security groups in Workday. I won't be discussing in detail. I will still give you an overview of all the other types of security groups. So there are probably, I think, 15 to 20 different types of security groups. But these security groups are a derivative of this one. So if you understand a role-based security and a user-based security, all the other security groups are one way or another a derivative of these two security groups. So you will use role-based to create a few other types of security groups. Um, so I'll just give you a brief introduction and overview, but it's not in the scope of this entire course. So for that, you have to take a detailed session just on security. So we'll discuss about the different types of security groups. We'll discuss how to add a security policy and then how to activate a security policy. We will see business process security policies in action. So these are the topics that will be discussed for security overall. Again, calc fields are something which is a very important topic, but it has a very steep learning curve. So calculated fields are very high, very much used in almost every single config, but then not all. Even today, if you look at the consultants who are actually working, even people with 5 and 7 years of experience, many consultants still don't know how to create calculated fields. They will rely heavily on the reporting folks to help them with creating the calc fields. But if you understand calc fields, now calculated fields is something that has like a steep learning curve. So you will when you start working on it, you will not understand it at all. it will take it will take some time for you to start understanding what this works, and then once you start understanding, it will start making sense, and you'll be able to create any kind of calculated field. But until then, even for consultants who are strong in Workday, even they don't know how to create these calc fields in Workday. So calculated fields, I will give you an overview of calc fields, but again, it has a steep learning curve, which means you will learn once you start working on this particular config. So even if I teach you, I can teach you the design patterns. What I can do is I can teach you the design patterns in calc fields. What are the different types of calc fields that can be created? But again, it is up to you. When you start working on the calc fields, only then you will learn how to use calc fields. And I would highly recommend you to start learning calculated fields. It is very amazing skill, because there are not a lot of people who can master calc fields in the industry. There are very few people. I mean, there are people who can create good calc fields, but it is again a skill. It's like a puzzle, uh, even though Workday is a configurable system, calc fields require a lot of logic. You need to apply logic in order to build a calc field. So since this is something which you have to actually use a logic, and you also need to have a good understanding of Workday, of how Workday works in terms of design of the entire Workday platform, as well as how that particular module works, and how you can extract data from different business objects and sources, and bring it in a format that you want into your reports or into your conditions. That highly depends upon your maturity in Workday. So this is I would recommend everyone to learn calc fields well, so that it will be very easy for you to work on any kind of requirement, any kind of a custom requirement that you come across in terms of business process, mostly in terms of business process. Like your customer might say that, hey, I want business process to work in a certain way. Now if there is no delivered way of doing it, you might want to create calculated fields and custom workflows in order to achieve that. Now for that, you might require calculated fields to create those conditions. If you don't have that skill to create calc fields, you'll be limited. You'll be limited with the Workday's delivered functionalities. So you might not be able to achieve what client requests you to do. So you'll be clueless, like, how do I achieve this? Because there is no delivered Workday fields to create a condition or a rule like that. But if you know calculated fields, you'll be able to create um, you'll be able to extract data from anywhere in Workday into that, and as much as possible within the Workday's limitations, you'll be able to achieve and deliver these things for the client. For me personally, learning calc fields and mastering it has been really rewarding in my career. So a lot of opportunities and a lot of unique out of the box solutions that I have built for my clients was all because I have mastered calc fields. So something for you to think about when you start your careers. Just keep this in back of your mind. um, if you learn calc fields in the future, it will be incredibly helpful for you to uh, you know um, help your clients with a lot of the custom configuration requirements.